Some say she was cursed. Others say she was born with an unlucky star. But none could understand the strange power Ada carried. A power that drew trouble to her like moths to a flame. Hi, my beautiful people. How are you doing today? Thank you so much for your support so far. Quickly, let's dive into this thrilling story, I assure you. It will be truly awe-inspiring. Ada of Onye village was known by all, but not in the way young women hoped to be known. To the people of Onye, she was a beautiful disaster. A quiet, captivating girl with eyes like dark rivers, drawing those around her into a whirlpool of misfortune. It was not her choice. Ever since she was young, trouble seemed to follow her, like shadows that darkened every joyful occasion. At every gathering, at every village festival, something would go wrong if Ada was around. Some in Onye called her a spirit child, a magbeke, sent to remind them of their wrongdoings. Others whispered of a hidden curse that no one dared speak of. Ada's mother had tried to protect her, to shield her from the cruel whispers and the sideways glances. But it wasn't enough. One fateful night, when the village sky was dark, a strange man arrived at Onye village. His arrival as silent as the wind that carried him. He wore a hood that covered his face, and though no one could see his eyes, everyone felt his stare. He sought out Ada, who at the time was by the village river fetching water under the watchful moon. As Ada looked up, she saw him standing there, shadowed, yet unmistakably real. He spoke, his voice echoing with a peculiar tone, almost as if the air itself trembled with his words.
You are more than they say, Ada. The stars don't lie, but curses follow paths of their own choosing.
In a flash, he handed her a carved wooden charm, pressing it into her palm with a grip that felt like iron. This is both your curse and your cure. Keep it with you, and one day it will reveal what lies behind the shadows. Ada clutched the charm, feeling its power hum against her skin. But before she could ask him anything, the stranger was gone, leaving only the echo of his words and the cold fear that gripped her heart. Days passed, and Ada tried to forget the stranger, his cryptic words, and the carved charm that she now hid under her bed mat. But trouble, as always, was never far behind. It started with small things. Clay pots mysteriously cracking, fires dying out, animals fleeing whenever she approached. Then it grew, like weeds that had been waiting, hiding under the soil. One evening, during a harvest celebration, the chief's son, Iz, began to choke on his yam porridge. Ada, nearby, had only glanced his way, but in that moment, the entire village turned their eyes toward her. The whispers grew louder. "She has brought disaster upon us," they cried. The charm's weight felt heavier in her pocket that night, reminding her of its presence. But how could a simple object hold any answers to the strange forces around her? Yet something within her was convinced it did. Desperate to uncover the truth, Ada set out one early morning to the next village, Okwe. There, she knew lived a wise woman, Neka, who many claimed could see beyond the visible. She found Neka in a small hut, surrounded by herbs and tokens from the past, reminders of lives she had saved and spirits she had calmed. "Neka, please. I am cursed. The people of Onye see it. I feel it. I need to know what this charm holds, what it means," Ada pleaded, her voice raw with the fear she had held inside for so long. The old woman's eyes softened. She beckoned Ada to sit and held out her wrinkled hands. As soon as she touched the charm, Neka's eyes widened as if an invisible force had gripped her. Her voice lowered to a whisper. "This charm, it binds a a spirit within you. Long ago, a spirit of misfortune was angered by your ancestors. It cursed your family line, choosing one child from each generation to carry its wrath. But this spirit, it can be freed, if you are brave enough to face it. Ada's heart raced. How do I free it? Neka took a deep breath, her expression darkening. To free it, you must find the source of your family's wrongdoing. Travel to the burial ground of your ancestors, at the heart of Umuoji, the lost village. There, the spirit will reveal itself. Determined, Ada gathered her courage and set off for Umuoji, the village the elders of Onwa warned no one to visit, for it was said to be a place abandoned by humans, but haunted by those who once lived there. She traveled through forests, across hills, and under the blazing sun until she reached the forgotten village. As she entered, the air grew colder, as if the spirits themselves watched her every step. At the heart of Umuoji lay a small shrine, covered in moss and decaying leaves. She knelt before it, clutching the charm, and spoke into the silence. If this story interests you, hit the subscribe button, like and share. Thank you. I am here. Show yourself. The wind swirled around her, carrying with it a low, growling voice. Ada, you come with courage. But can courage face the sins of the past? In the space before her, a figure appeared, shadowy and foreboding. It held the shape of a woman, her face dark and unreadable, her eyes burning like coals. Why have you brought this curse upon me? Ada asked, trembling. The spirit's voice was low, like distant thunder. Your great-grandfather, in his arrogance, betrayed me. He took what was mine, what was sacred. For his actions, I swore that his descendants would suffer. Every generation, I would return to remind them of my pain. Ada's voice cracked. But I am not him. I had no part in his wrongs. Yet, you carry his blood. There is only one way to lift this curse. The spirit leaned closer, its eyes piercing through her. Give me your heart, willingly, and I will spare your future children. Or refuse, and I shall haunt Onwa forever. Ada's mind spun. To free her family, she would have to give her life to this spirit. But as she stood there, feeling the weight of her ancestors' sins and the judgment of the spirit upon her, a memory surfaced. The night the stranger had given her the charm, his words echoing in her mind. This is both your curse and your cure. Something shifted within her, and she raised the charm high above her head. Take this, spirit. I give you not my heart, but the gift left by the one who once gave me hope. It binds you no more. The spirit hesitated, eyes fixed on the charm. With a cry that shattered the silence of the night, it reached for the charm, its form dissolving into shadows, then into nothingness. As the first light of dawn broke, Ada felt a strange peace settle over her. She was free. And so too was the spirit, released from its curse by the power of sacrifice and forgiveness. When Ada returned to Onwa, the people noticed a change in her. No longer did pots break or fires die when she passed. The dark cloud that had once followed her had lifted, and for the first time, she felt truly seen, not as a bearer of misfortune, but as Ada of Onwa, the girl who broke a curse and found her own path. Her story lived on in the hearts of the villagers, a reminder of the price of pride and the power of redemption. After her journey to Umuoji, Ada felt lighter, yet the fear of misfortune clung to her like a shadow. While she'd freed herself of the spirit's direct influence, she couldn't shake the feeling that something lingered, as though remnants of the spirit's pain still rested within her. Days turned to weeks. and the people of Onye began to embrace her anew. Some saw her as a symbol of resilience, while others whispered of her as a warrior who had faced an ancient wrath and lived to tell the tale. Ada could finally walk through the village without feeling the chill of fear in every gaze. Yet deep down, she still struggled to believe the curse was truly broken. One evening, as the moon rose high and full over the village, Ada heard a voice in her dreams. A voice so familiar, it sent a chill through her bones. It was the spirit, the one she thought she had freed. In her dream, it whispered, "Your family's sins run deeper than a single act. Their debt is not yet paid." Ada awoke drenched in sweat, her heart pounding. As she sat alone in the darkness, her mind raced with thoughts of her ancestors, of the wrongs buried in their past. Perhaps the spirit's curse was not so easily broken. She resolved to speak with her mother and dig deeper into her family's history, to uncover any secrets that might still bind her to misfortune. The next morning, Ada approached her mother, Ijoma, as she tended the yam fields. Ijoma was a strong woman, carrying years of hard labor and secrets within her gaze. Ada knelt beside her, hesitating before she spoke. "Mother, tell me about our family. I have learned about the curse, but I feel there is more I do not know." Her mother's hands paused, gripping the yam stalk tightly. After a moment, she sighed and sat beside Ada on the red earth, her voice low and weary. "You are right, Ada. There is more. Your great-grandfather, Obi, was not the first to bring misfortune upon us. Generations ago, our ancestors sought power and prosperity by disrespecting the spirits of Umuoji. They took what did not belong to them, sacred lands, offerings, meant for the spirits, charms meant to keep peace with the unseen world." Ada's heart sank as her mother continued, her voice heavy with regret. "It was not just one act of greed, but many. Our family grew wealthy and influential because of what they took. But the spirits do not forget, and they do not forgive easily. I was warned of this when you were born, but I could do nothing. I tried to shield you, but I too was bound to our family's fate." Ada clenched her fists, feeling the weight of generations upon her shoulders. She understood now. The curse was not simply about one spirit's anger, but a series of transgressions, layer upon layer of betrayal that had piled up over time. "So what must I do to free us truly?" Ada whispered. Ijoma shook her head, her gaze fixed on the ground. "I do not know, Oda. Only the spirits can tell you. Perhaps you must return to Umuoji and ask for their forgiveness. Offer them something to mend what our ancestors have broken." Driven by her mother's words, Ada gathered her courage once more and set out for Umuoji. She prepared a bundle of offerings: kola nuts, white chalk, and palm wine, symbols of peace and reconciliation. This time, she was not just seeking to free herself, but to cleanse her family line from the shadows of the past. As she arrived in Umuoji, she felt the familiar chill, the sense of eyes watching her from the misty trees. She knelt before the ancient shrine, laying the offerings carefully on the stone altar. "Spirits of Umuoji," she called, her voice steady. "I come not only for myself, but for my family, for the sins of those who came before me. I ask for your forgiveness. I offer what I have as a sign of peace and respect." The air grew colder, and the mist thickened, swirling around her. The same shadowy figure appeared, the spirit with burning eyes, and a voice that trembled with ancient pain. "Ada," it whispered, "you have come again, bringing peace offerings. But peace cannot erase wounds that run as deep as betrayal. What you offer is good, but it is not enough. Ada's heart sank. Then what will free my family from your wrath? The spirit's form shifted, her face softening with sorrow. You must understand the pain your ancestors caused. In their greed, they tore down sacred trees, disturbed the resting places of the elders, and left the spirits unhonored. To break this chain, you must restore what was lost, the peace that your family once shattered. The spirit extended her hand, pointing toward a grove beyond the shrine. Rebuild the altar. Plant sacred trees in the grove. Tend to the land, respect it, and keep the peace with those who dwell in the unseen world. Only then will the curse be broken. Ada spent the next few weeks working in the grove, guided by villagers from Umoji who remembered the ancient ways. Together, they restored the broken altar, carefully stacking stones and spreading offerings. Ada planted young trees, speaking to them as she worked, telling stories of peace and honoring the spirits in the way her ancestors had once done. She sang to the spirits, asking them to forgive her family and to lift the curse that had followed them for generations. Word of her efforts spread back to Onye, and some villagers began to believe that she was not cursed but blessed, a chosen one, born to right her family's wrongs. Some even journeyed to help her with the sacred grove, restoring what had been lost so long ago. One evening, as she completed her work and laid a final offering on the altar, Ada felt a strange warmth in the air, a sense of calm that she had never known. She whispered her final prayer, asking for peace and forgiveness. That night, as she lay in a small hut near the grove, Ada dreamed once again of the spirit. But this time, the figure was no longer angry. Her face was calm, her eyes like soft embers. Ada, the spirit said, you have done well. You have restored the balance that was broken, the peace that was lost. Your family's debt is paid, and you may walk freely once more. The curse is lifted, not only from you, but from all who carry your blood. Ada woke with tears in her eyes, a deep sense of relief filling her heart. She had done it, not through sacrifice or violence, but through compassion and respect. When she returned to Onye, Ada was welcomed with open arms. The villagers no longer feared her, for they saw the peace that radiated from her. She was no longer the cursed child of Onye, but a hero who had restored their bond with the unseen world. Over time, she became a beloved figure, respected by the young and old alike. She was consulted in matters of the spirit and the land, for the villagers trusted her wisdom, knowing she had faced the darkness and emerged whole. Ada walked through Onye with her head held high, her heart finally at peace. And the curse that had once darkened her life became nothing more than a memory, a story of redemption that would be passed down through the generations, a reminder of the power of courage, forgiveness, and the strength to right the wrongs of the past. And thus, Ada's legacy endured, not as the bearer of misfortune, but as the one who turned a curse into a blessing, bringing light and peace back to Onye village. Her story lived on in the hearts of the villagers, a reminder of the price of pride and the power of redemption. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and turn on your notification bell for more amazing and thrilling stories to unfold. If you watched till the end, you are my real MVP. Love you.